It's the No Motivation Podcast with Jake, Lemon, Nightwing, and Xhermp. Alright, final week of the No Motivation Podcast here. Wait, what the hell?
Jake.
Alright.
Welcome to the No Motivation Podcast. I am your host with the tremendous penis.
And, hey, it's Jake, anime father, ZorooarK.
Oh my god, you're alive.
Yeah, I just fucking ate a piece of crocodile, came back to life, had some fucking rations. We're back alive.
Cool.
Yeah. So, we're in the final week of fall 2018 anime. Just coming up to winter 2019, and we'll be covering some shows in that. We're not specific on what we will be covering, but we'll have that figured out by the time we have the wrap-up.
I'm still pushing that we cover Cowboy Bebop and only Cowboy Bebop.
We can also do that in a podcast too. Yeah. So final week, it's just Nightwing and I on the shift because Xhermp is out and about in Florida.
Xhermp is out being a white guy with his white family.
Yeah, he's in Florida right now. So if you guys want to go meet him, just go knock on his door. He's at Disneyland. That's where he's at.
Disneyland. He's off with Michael Mouse.
With Michael Mouse, yeah, and he's chilling in Disney. You know, he's having a good time. I think that's the only thing that's in Florida too. So,
it's Michael Mouse and just a ton of desert and like old people.
And then trailer parks too. That's one of the Anyways,
yeah,
let's
dude.
let's stop bashing.
If I could eliminate a state off of a map, it'd be Florida.
I think most people would agree with you on that statement, but let's stop bashing Florida.
Let's talk about fun, cool anime.
Yeah, and so it's always the same order as usual, except this time we're missing Zombieland Saga because rest its soul, it's back in the grave.
F in the chat for Zombieland Saga. Hopefully there's a season 2.
Yep, we're all hopeful, and there is one show that we know is getting a season 2, but we'll talk about that later. You can probably already guess what it is, but anyways, we're into Bunny Girl Senpai here. The final episode of Bunny Girl Senpai, continuing off from the last episode. I'm on the synopsis, and let's do this shit. So it like I said, picks up from the last episode. Sakta tells his dad, he's like, hey, Kaide's memory came back. They go to the hospital, and Sakta's father is like super happy, and he's like crying and stuff. He's like, oh my god, I can't believe you're back and all that. But Sakta doesn't really feel the same way because he's become attached to the previous Kaede. So he kind of has like a breakdown, and he like leaves the hospital, and fucking out of nowhere, Shoko shows up and gives him a hand. Like the grown up Shoko shows up, not the little Shoko. And like kind of comforts him and everything, and he's still like torn over everything, and have a little bit of an emotional scene. Kind of like roles reversed. He's in the bathtub this time, and Shoko's talking to him through like the door. And he he has a breakdown while in the bath. We then cut to him in the morning. He fell asleep at some point, blacked out or something, I guess. And Shoko has left him a note saying, "You look like you're all good, so I left." And there's no trace of her after that, and he even tries to call the young Shoko, and she doesn't pick up either. He then goes back to the hospital, and it seems like he's kind of like reattaching himself to the to the original Kaede. He's like, do you like pandas and stuff like that? And she's like, I don't really hate them. And he's like, all right, we're going to see the pandas after you're done in the hospital then. And so then the original Kaede reads through the panda Kaede's journal and stuff as the entire episode unfolds. Mai is actually not here during this entire ordeal because she had to go to a film shooting in a different city. And she tries calling Sakta throughout the episode, or throughout the first little bit of the episode, and he never picks up. And so she decides to go visit him. And when she sees that Shoko was the one that comforted him instead of her, she got angry, and she decided to go back to the city she was shooting in. Even though she shouldn't have came to his house in the first place, she said, but she like took like a quick train to get there, and she has to go back in the morning or something. But she decided to go back early. Sakta's depressed afterwards because not only is his sister, well, his like new sister gone, I guess, but also kind of like the tensions between him and Mai are kind of high. So he's depressed at work. We get some funny dialogue. My little sister shows up and is like, "Hey, she didn't like take it as a misunderstanding. She just was sad that she wasn't there to comfort you in time." So then he goes and sees Mai, like takes the bullet train to get to her super quick. They hang out and kind of talk things out. And the manager of Mai kind of teases them a little bit when they get dropped off at this like cliff point or whatever, and they're just chilling and talking and stuff. And it looks like they're about to have a little bit of a smooch. And then Mai pulls on his cheek and everything, and it's like, you would have liked this better, probably, or wouldn't you? And that's where the episode kind of ends, but we get an after credit scene and also during credit scene where we see kind of like a quick cut version of what happened afterwards, with Mai being introduced to Sakuta's father and also the old Kaede. And get a little bit of a montage of them going through all that stuff, Kaede reading the journal. And then at the end of the episode, it seems like Kaede and Sakuta are in a good place once again, and they kind of walk off, and the shot leaves us as just looking at the hospital bed, and we have to wait for the movie. That's it.
You know what? You know what I think?
What?
I think it's fitting that we are now in 2019 because it's fuck you, it's January. And that's what this ending kind of felt like.
What?
Fuck you, go watch our movie.
Oh. I guess, I don't know. I think everything got wrapped up in this episode except for the Shoko stuff. But Kaede's stuff definitely got wrapped up.
That's still a lot of setup for like a show that's ended.
Yeah, but also there's the thing where the source material doesn't have anything else other than just the Shoko arc. He like the person that's writing the light novel is still writing it, and he's still working on arcs and stuff. But so far, the only completed one after this is just the Shoko, as far as I'm aware. Which is also apparently the best written one. So I think that might also be why they're moving it to a movie where there's more production value that can be put into it.
Yeah, I'm glad all the fight scenes are going to be really well animated.
Shoko's gonna be the one that's behind the puberty syndrome, and then like Sakuta has to like go fucking Dragon Ball Z on her and shit.
Sakuta goes Super Saiyan. He's like, yeah. Powers have been revealed to me. Oh my god, I'm a monkey.
Oh, cool! He can turn into a giant ape also.
And so basically overall, this was a good episode, a good roundup. I just don't like how much stuff was set up that didn't pay off. Well, not so much. It's just I don't like when not all the loose ends are wrapped up.
True. But luckily it wasn't like a bunch of things that were left unfinished. It seemed like everything got wrapped up in a pretty nice bow tie, except for like the Shoko stuff, which is just like, yeah, go watch the movie. But other than that, I feel like, yeah, how did you like this Kaede arc?
I really like the Kaede arc. I feel like it was the most fleshed out arc since Mai's.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Like, this arc felt really good, and especially this like penultimate episode was really fucking good. Like, the first half of this episode was fucking crushing. I felt like, because like Sakuta, you could like, it was essentially he like lost his sister twice, I suppose. Like, the first time was when she lost her memories, and then he got attached to that Kaede. And then all of a sudden, like, as he's like making progress on that Kaede and she's about to go to school and everything, and then all of a sudden, like, the rug just gets pulled out from under him, and you kind of like feel that. And like the voice actor and like the animation was really fucking good in this episode. Like, hats off to the voice actor, especially because he was conveying emotion like really fucking well during the entire episode.
A lot of the acting in this series was really bland near the beginning, but now I'm like glad that they got these actors because they're epic.
Yeah, they are pretty fucking epic, and like especially Mai's actor and all that stuff too. It was just, yeah, it was great. I'm trying to. It's kind of interesting where it's like you see they execute like the kind of show don't tell really well in this episode. So you see that like throughout the episode that Kaede's reading through the journal, like the old Kaede's reading through the journal. But it doesn't like go out specifically and tell you like. Sakuta walks in the room, all of a sudden he's like, oh, hey, you're reading that journal, huh? And it's like, oh, you're trying to catch up on everything. It's more like it's just like it's showing you that it's happening naturally in the world, that she's just like learning about or trying to fill in all the memory gaps and everything. And you see that she gets like embarrassed sometimes whenever Sakata walks in the room, or all that stuff. And just like when he introduces her to Mai in the credits, and you see that she kind of gets flustered because like she learns that Mai is like this actor or whatever.
Is that a girl?
Yeah, also old Kaede does get a little bit surprised when Sakata says, "Yeah, I have a girlfriend now," and she's like, "Wait, what?" But yeah, I don't know. What else was there? There's that funny dialogue that we got in the restaurant after Mai left early, where Tomoe came up and was all like, "Hey, senpai, your eyes look dead." And then the friend walks up and it's like more, or it just looks like usual, and it was pretty funny. I think it was like, yeah, but his eyes look a little bit more dead than usual, is what Tomoe I think responded with. But yeah, the first half of this episode was really fucking good. Second half of this episode was still very good. But yeah, definitely the first half was very fucking emotional in this episode.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to say about this episode, Jake?
I like the little final scene that we got with Mai and Sakata. Well, it looks like they're gonna go in for the smooch, and it's like, nah, it's just they're gonna do the thing that they normally do. With like the pulling on
Mai
the cheek.
stabbed Sakata through the chest. It was a really surprising ending.
Just cut him at him and like threw him off the cliff.
Yeah, she was just like, this bitch empty. Yeet, and then she threw him off the cliff. It was really surprising and shocking.
I just want to know how much money it cost Sakata to take a bullet train like on the fly to get to a city. Just like
he walked up to his dad and he was like, "I want to talk to my girlfriend."
And the dad's like, "What? Okay, sure. Just I'm a neglectful parent, anyways." And yeah. So, what do you think of this episode overall?
I think that it was a great episode, a great conclusion to this show for the most part.
Yeah, I thought it was a great conclusion also, and I feel like it's probably the second best, or maybe, I don't know, maybe the first best, but definitely the second best arc in the series, or in the show. But yeah, I'd give it a good old double thumbs up. Good old 10 out of 10.
I would give this episode a Sakata out of 10.
Sakata out of 10. Best boy. Actually, you know what? We'll save that for when we get to the wrap up. But moving into the next moving into the next show.
Oh boy, it's finally over, or is it?
Yeah, find out this time on Goblin Slayer Z. Anyways, Goblin Slayer, we're here, final episode. We finally made it, and as we reach the peak of the mountain, we take a tumble off the fucking side and die. Well, actually, you know what? God wouldn't be that kind. He would still let us live at the bottom and then watch the continuation. Anyways, I'm on the synopsis for this train wreck. Here we go. Actually, that yeah, you know what? They kind of ties in nicely with the last series we talked about. But yep, I'm on the synopsis. Here we go. Might as well just get it over with. Pull this band-aid off. So we're continuing off from the last episode of Goblin Slayer, where we're fighting the Goblin Army. Except most of the Goblin Army is dead, except for like the Hobgoblins and the champions and shit. And the Lord's running away, and we get that dialogue I was talking about that was in the manga from the last episode, but we only get it for like 10 seconds. Which kind of fucking sucks, I guess, because it would have been interesting to see how a goblin goes from being a goblin into a goblin lord. But nope, fuck that. Anyways, and then we get like Goblin Slayer, he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna ambush you, man." And then they do a big old fight, and the other silver ranked adventurers are fighting the champions and shit, and they're taking them out easily. I don't think anybody dies. And there's dialogue between the cowgirl and her uncle and whatever. The Goblin Lord dies by the priestess that squishes him in with 2 protection barriers, which actually was kind of an interesting way to kill somebody. Now I'm just wondering if they could just like put a protection in between somebody, and if that will like cut them in half. But we didn't get to see that, unfortunately.
But that wouldn't. But you wouldn't see the explanation for that because that would take effort.
Yeah, and effort definitely wasn't something that was put into this series. Anyways, so what else?
Well, I mean, they put a lot of effort into how many fucked up things they can do per episode.
So Goblin Slayer gets banged around a little bit by the Lord, but he's all good. He gets his head stomped on a little bit, but he's fine. No brain damage, other than the serious brain damage that he already has in the series. Um, and yeah, they kill the Goblin Army and stuff, and then they celebrate at the bar, and everybody's having a good time, and people are complaining about their payment for whatever reason, and then Priestess is sleeping on Goblin Slayer, not in a lewd way, but just napping on his shoulder or something.
They're just pals, okay?
And then Cowgirl and Goblin Slayer talk a little bit about the stuff that happened in the previous episode and all that. And Priestess wakes up and is all flustered and stuff, and then asks if Goblin Slayer can take off his helmet. And everybody's like, "Whoa, look, Goblin Slayer took off his helmet. Everybody get your betting pools. I thought he was a woman," or stuff like that. And
What does he look like?
we don't really know because we get to see that we get the nose mouth treatment and back of head.
Yeah.
So he looks like that. He's just a disembodied nose and mouth with the back of head. And some fucking retard said, "Oh, I thought he was a goblin." Anyways,
He takes off the helmet and he's got like that handsome Squidward face.
that was funnier than anything in this fucking episode. All right, so the camera then zooms out and we get a credit crawl over top of like a blurred Gaussian blur image of the tavern. Then it goes to real credits, and at the end of the credits, I'll put this up on the screen too, because I took a screen cap of it because I felt like crying when I saw this. We get a little bit of exposition where it's like, oh, the gods did this and this. I wasn't really fucking paying attention to that, but then I heard a noise and I looked up at the screen, and then I saw Goblin Slayer will return up on the screen, and I'll put that up now. But and that's where it ends. Or
it was like the end of a goddamn Avengers movie.
Except this time I wanted to fucking kill myself.
Yeah, it was like it's just don't return, Goblin Slayer. We've come to consensus that we don't like you.
Can we trade this Goblin Slayer will return panel for a Guardians of the Galaxy will return, please?
With James Gunn.
Yes, with James Gunn. Speaking of which, he made a like weird superhero movie thing. I don't know what it is, but it looks weird. Anyways, I digress. Yeah, let's talk about Goblin Slayer. So
that episode sucked. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Was it just me, or was this episode really awkward? Like more awkward than usual, like fumbling through the story.
Yeah, like it seemed the characters were just doing things because, plot.
It felt like very disjointed. Like you go from like the Goblin Lord fight, and then all of a sudden it cuts over to the Silver Boys fighting the champions and shit, and they're just, I don't know. It's like there's no challenge there, obviously, because they're just fucking killing the Goblin Lords or Goblin Champions instantly.
It didn't feel like they were all happening at once. It felt like a sequence more so than like a battle.
Yeah, like a slideshow presentation. It was fucking. Okay, I don't know. It felt really choppy. Like the pacing. I think it's just the pacing. The pacing in this episode was fucking horrible. And like I think I called it in the last week too. I'm like, they're gonna end off this series with like a big happy, oh man, let's all go to the tavern and have drinks and stuff. And they fucking did it, because every anime like this has to do it, except for the good ones that do it, like One Piece.
Priestess woke up on Goblin Slayer's shoulder. Awkward.
Oh. Awkward. That's gonna be something to talk about the town. Anyways.
Yeah, did you guys see that priestess that nobody knows, and that Goblin Slayer that everybody only knows because he's weird? She fell asleep on his shoulder. That's so cool.
Yeah. I think Goblin Slayer mentioned something about, hey, I want to be an actual adventurer in this episode. So yeah, something in the second season, he's gonna do other things other than killing goblins, I guess.
So it's gonna become an isekai anime.
I don't know about that. A fantasy anime, yes, but not an isekai.
Well, I don't know the definition of isekai. I would just like to say that I'm still new to anime.
Yeah. Isekai is transported to another world, basically.
Well, Goblin Slayer could be transported to another world, a world that actually is fun.
Especially like all the allegories to like fucking D&D that they make in the show, where it's like the gods are like the players or something.
Like the game ends with like a bunch of fat nerds on it at a table.
Yeah. I just want to say that I would have much rather seen the hero's story than Goblin Slayer, to be honest. Like we see the hero again in this episode, and they're like walking through the town or some bullshit, and they're just spewing like expositional dialogue or some bullshit. Or it's like, oh man, let's have. I can't wait to go to the festival in this town. Hey, it would have sucked if this town was destroyed by goblins, but the Goblin Slayer was there. Let's just suck the fucking dick more.
Yes, Goblin Slayer's so cool, and his dick is like so big.
But he only uses it to kill goblins. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else you can really say about this episode. Goblin Slayer killed goblins. Well, killed 8.
I would like to give this episode a thank God it's over out of 10.
Yeah. I would like to. You know what? If Goblin Slayer would have killed more goblins other than just one goblin in this episode, I would have given it a 10 out of 10. But this episode gets a like in the show with the payment that they do, 1 gold coin per 1 goblin. This gets a 1 out of 10 because you only killed 1 goblin. So yeah, fuck this show. The manga is so much fucking better. I'm just gonna keep pronouncing it in the 2 different ways, manga and manga, every time we record this podcast. Fuck.
Hey there, Ohio gamers.
Ohio gamers.
Konnichiwa gamers. Gurugamesh.
Yeah, read the manga. It's so much fucking. I did it the second pronunciation that time. I'm not gonna talk about it anymore. Anyways, yeah, read it. It's so much better. If you want to
go read the backwards comic book.
If you want to take one thing from this series, it's that the OP is pretty good. Other than that, fuck off. So. Moving into the next show, Nightwing is on the synopsis for this one. It's that time I got reincarnated by a slime. Oh shit!
I got reincarnated by a slime. Cool.
All right, let's hear the synopsis, Nightwing.
All right, so your boy Rimuru makes a deal with the daughter of the lizard chief to team up with all the lizard guys, right? And after that, you go and see that Gabiru was fucking shit up with his army, and Gabiru tries to fight the orc general, but he like fucking is bad at it. So yeah, and then Rimuru and his boys fight the orc army, and you get to see all the evolved. What are they called? Evolved ogres. What are they called?
Kijin.
You get to see all the Kijin at work doing all the cool shit that they can do, and they all fight and do like a bunch of cool shit, and that's pretty much the episode.
Heck yeah! All right. I just want to say that the Kijin are fucking OP, and Ranga too. Ranga fucking evolves in this episode too.
Oh shit! I forgot about that. Yeah, Ranga and Gobta rescue some boys.
Yeah, they I think they like went ahead of everybody to help out Gabiru's peeps, and they did like the whole like gladiator formation where they like kind of like get around in a circle and all that shit. And we learned that fucking Gabiru is not actually an asshole too, or not too much of an asshole, because he actually like tries to protect the goblins when they get surrounded. He's like, keep the goblins on the inside or whatever. But maybe that was due more to the fact that when the orcs eat anybody, they just get stronger. Which is pretty fucking gnarly too. But yeah, there were some good screen caps in this episode that I took. One specifically was the Lizard Chieftain's daughter's reaction to whenever Soye would like fucking string the orcs and shit, and like her mouth like fell open. It was like a gape and shit. It was like, I don't know. It was a pretty good screen cap, which I do have as my background right now, I think. Yeah, I do. But yeah, so we do actually salvage the situation from the last episode, which is nice, with Gabiru kind of like throwing a coup, which has now been pretty much fallen apart. And the Lizard Chieftain is free once again, and all that shit. And yeah, a little bit of an alliance is formed too, which is cool. Which just makes Rimuru's nation even stronger. Rimuru Nation.
Join the conversation. Hashtag Rimuru Army.
Rimuru Army, yeah.
And it's already trending.
The boy Rimuru actually didn't fight in this episode, except I think he found the Orc Lord at the end of the episode, and we're gonna see that in the next one. Which is gonna be pretty fucking sick, because we haven't really seen Rimuru in action, like trying to actually like kill somebody, or actually no, maybe against Ifrit he has actually. So
yeah, but that was like an whole arc ago.
That is true. But yeah, he's definitely a lot stronger now. I'm assuming.
Yeah, because Rimuru's got the power of God and anime on his side. And he has a fire lady, a big dragon, and a fire boy inside of it.
Yep. I also like fucking Shion with that like cloud sword too. Charging up that fucking
that was awesome.
Charging up that limit break. Holy shit. That was pretty fucking cool. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, when Cloud from Final Fantasy VII showed up, it was like, whoa. You're telling me that the Mako reactor got blown up, Cloud? That's so cool.
Yeah, but like she like fucking cracked the earth in half and shit with that. That was pretty fucking cool. Benimaru too, his fucking ogre flame, like throughout the entire like fight sequence, you could just see in the background just like the fucking ogre flame popping up in like gigantic circles, just incinerating all the fucking orcs that get inside of it. So yeah, this big army has definitely been dwindled down like fairly quickly.
Like they were hyping it up to be this like giant threat, and now it's just like, oh, cool fodder.
Well, I think that's the case for most of the orc army, because like they do have a bunch of numbers, but I think for the most part they're still very like, because they say like orcs are like weaker than even the lizardmen normally, but now they have somebody leading them, so I guess they're more organized or whatever. But it's still like they're kind of like fodder, and then we see like the stronger ones, like the generals and shit, can come along, which actually did give Gabiru a lot of trouble. Except for the fact that then all of a sudden the OP Kijin and Rimuru and all that came in. Even Gobta, dude. Gobta was pretty fucking strong in this episode too. He was fucking people up.
Yeah, whenever Gobta's played for a joke, I'm just like, didn't he get like the same power up as all the other goblins?
Man, I said it when we started off this podcast too. I'm like, there's no reason for him to evolve. He's already perfect. That's what's happened, dude. He doesn't need to evolve. He's the perfect being.
You know, I think who would win in a fight, Gobta or Goblin Slayer?
Probably Gobta. I'm not gonna lie. I mean,
like Gobta would like take off Goblin Slayer's helmet and he'd hide his face in embarrassment. Then Gobta would just like slice him in the chest.
I mean, also you don't see goblins and Goblin Slayer fucking moving through shadows and shit, which is really fucking cool. Also. One thing that also happened in this, we see Trainee in action a little bit too, and there was a fucking bomb ass song playing when Trainee was fighting against the Majin. I would try to grab the song and like kind of like overlay it over this what we're talking about right now, but I don't know if it's copyrighted or not. But I feel like anybody that's listening, if you just go back and watch the episode to the part where Trainee is fighting the Majin, the soundtrack is fucking stellar for that. But yeah, the Majin show up and they're like kind of like doing the scheming thing still with the Orc Lord and all that, and they're kind of worried that these Kijin showed up out of fucking nowhere and Rimuru and all that, and kind of like start dismantling their plans, I guess. And then Trainee was like, "Hey, are you motherfuckers scheming in my forest? Get the fuck out of here!" And chops off one of their fucking arms with like a summon or something, and they decide to nope out of there. But yeah, as much as there was fighting in this episode, there's a lot of world building, which is very nice. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, building up a great old universe with this whole thing. I just hope that that the big bad isn't Shizu's dad figure, Alucard guy. I want to see him.
Well, we do see him in this episide.
Yeah, but I want to see him more so.
Yeah. I think we will get to see more of him as the series progresses, but we do get a glimpse of him. Like I think he's talking about the plan, the Orc Lord plan or something. So
I want to hear him. I want to hear him be voiced by Takahata 101.
Takahata 101. Are you watching through the dub of this show still?
No, I'm past the point where the dub is.
Oh, okay. So kind of like flip flopping between. Okay, yeah. Um. So, I don't know. I feel like I've exhausted anything I can say.
Yeah, I think that overall this was probably one of my favorite episodes. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. It
Yeah.
was still setup, but it was good setup.
And they dealt with everything like very logically in this episode, which is always the show does everything very logically, which is nice.
Like Rimuru, I'm sure he played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. He played a lot of World of Warcraft. He knows how this shit works.
Also, something that's interesting too. The person that wrote the original like light novel and all that shit, and the web novel and all that, he was a civil engineer too, which is just somebody that like kind of like works on like designing like infrastructure and cities and shit.
So eventually, by the end of the show, you're just gonna have like giant buildings with like statues of Gobta all through the city.
Gobta usurps the throne from Rimuru, and like it's like punished Rimuru. He has to like solid snake his way back into the Gobta kingdom, and then just like assassinate Gobta. But yeah, we the show will still be going on. This isn't the final episode of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. And we should be covering it along with some of the winter stuff we're gonna be talking about. Most of the winter stuff though that looks interesting is mostly second seasons. So there won't be, maybe there'll be an equal amount of shows we'll be talking about, or maybe a little bit less. We'll have to see. But yeah, I think we're at the end of this week of anime.
Yes, we are, and hopefully the winter season has less shows.
What do you give this episode? At That Time I Got Reincarnated as Slime, actually, by the way.
I think I would give this episode a statue of Gobta out of 10.
I would give this a very, very nice a damn boy he thick out of melon.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said before, that concludes this week of the anime, and concludes fall 2018.
We just like to thank you guys for sticking through with us through this season of fall 2018 anime, even though we were so inconsistent and flip floppy. Especially Xhermp. Seriously, man, get back on your game, bitch. But yeah, please make sure to like, subscribe, comment if you loved it, comment if you hated it. Do all that YouTubey stuff.
And yeah, we the wrap up will be coming. We just gotta wait for big old Xhermp to come back, and we'll be doing all that stuff.
And then the return of Lemon.
Lemon. I don't know if he'll be joining us for winter 2019. We shall see. But the winter 2019 will be a lot less hectic because we're not going to be starting in the middle of the season. We'll be starting right at the beginning. So that'll be one episode per week, just like everybody else that does this type of podcast. And yeah, I don't know. Anything else to add to this or anything else to add to the podcast where we wrap it up?
12 episodes already. Or 13? I don't know how many episodes we've been doing.
13.
We're just on a big old number now, and it's been fun doing this podcast with y'all.
Heck yeah. It's been pretty fun. We've gone from maybe doing this podcast to now doing this podcast, which is pretty cool. It's not just an idea that's dead in the water.
Yeah, and maybe we could bounce off this podcast and do more.
Heck yeah. I'm definitely working on some things. One big thing that involves JoJo that I've been working on, but learned that it's very hard to edit the type of thing that I'm working on.
Okay, I see what you're.
Yeah, but I'll get it figured out. It might be a little bit delayed, or it might be take a long time. So I'm not going to promise any kind of release, but it is being worked on.
And I'm currently working on a couple things. I got a few things in the pipeline that I might post to my own channel if I ever start that up, which might or might not happen. No promises.
Yeah, and that's all linked in the description too. And yeah, so that's it for fall 2018. Thanks for listening, everybody. Yeah, so Nightwing, you want to give out your outro, my boy?
Okay, I was Nightwing. I was the greatest member of this podcast. I have the largest penis out of any of them, like combined. And I'd like to say thank you for watching and bye.
I'm ZorooarK, anime father. You're on the channel, you already know. We'll see you in winter 2019, boyos and girlos.
Watch Broly.